Do you consider yourself self-aware?
Honestly, I do. I know all my faults for the most part, and I love me still. So if I had to answer that question, I'd say definitely. I'm definitely self-aware.
Dish. Dish. Dish.
Hey y'all, it's Onika.
And JR.
And you are dishing with Dainty Dish. How you doing, JR?
I am doing fantastic. I'm just kicking it. I'm just doing some more fun stuff. And,
Do share with the crowd.
I took a hip-hop dance class.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it was fun. It was actually kind of awkward because I feel like I know how to dance, and it's really awkward having someone to tell you how to dance while looking in a mirror and trying to copy a dance routine. It's totally out there. Yeah. But it was fun. I did it. Got a story to tell. So, I mean, you know, I'm just living my best life out here.
Oh, Lord. Living your best life.
What are you up to? What's going on in your world?
Feeling so much more better. Thank you guys all for your support and my mental health journey. I've been feeling so low and so depressed. I had to take some time off of work, but I'm getting back into the swing of things and I'm feeling really good since the big chop happened. You know, I'm feeling just really, really positive about my direction and where I'm headed. As of today, I wrapped up my rap class. We had a little celebration and cake and, you know, fruit platter and whatever else. And, you know, they asked us all to do a little speech when we got our certificates. And I ended up crying like I was doing my Oscar speech. More to come. But I started crying like I was just so emotional about it because it's the first step I'm taking towards becoming a peer support worker. So that's really, really important to me. So it was just really, it's just been a really great day. So
that's wicked. That's really cool. So that's why you were late.
I was not late. I was like 10 minutes early.
If that's your story. Okay.
I was 10 minutes early.
I'm
very self-aware that sometimes, yes, we're going to go back to some self-awareness as we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast. I'm very self-aware. I know my faults. Lateness, as we have covered in other podcasts, is not one of them when it's dependent on me alone. And I texted you. I'm also very considerate because I texted you to let you know, listen, I had to get an X-ray done today, guys. I had some inflammation, and they thought I might have early onset arthritis, but it turns out I'm just fat. So that's what it turns out to be. I need to lose a little bit of weight and start exercising more. So I had to do some X-rays, but I was 10 minutes early. Like I said, I'm self-aware. I know my faults, and lateness is not one of them.
You're self-aware.
I'm self-aware, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I feel like you're one of the most self-aware people I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about how you got there, that journey.
To becoming self-aware?
I want to talk about both of us becoming self-aware. I don't know if you think I'm self-aware.
Well, I mean, I don't know what to compare you to. If I'm comparing you to myself, then no, you're not self-aware. But I mean,
of course, if anyone's comparing anything to JR, then they're lacking.
See, no, that's not what. See, that's your narcissistic personality coming out. Anyway, it was a specific question asking you compared to me, and I would say no. It was very specific. It was not a generalized statement, and I don't appreciate you speaking about me or to me
in a derogatory in a tone. I'm sorry, JR. I apologize.
I don't forgive you, so don't don't waste your time. Don't waste your breath. So yeah, self-aware. I don't know. My dad taught me to be self-aware from the time I was young. Like that's just something that was instilled to me from my parents. Like take responsibility for your stuff. Be aware of what you do. You make choices, and you have to be, you know, aware of the consequences that happen based on your choices. So think before you do things, and you know. Measure twice, cut once. Like
measure twice, cut once. What an all-time saying.
Like things like that. Like I mean, I'm sorry. Those are things that help you become self-aware. Just those influences in your life. So I don't know. That's my thing. And I lost my self-awareness when I just got caught up in thinking about what other people thought. Mm-hmm. But it just came back down to no. Thinking my way got me where I am and got me all my success. So why would I
think any other way?
Why would I deviate from the plan? Right. So. I don't know. That's kind of where my I guess my ability to be self-aware comes from my parents, just making me think that way.
I would say a lot of my self-awareness has come from counseling and therapy. Going through the process of therapy over the last couple of years, I could be more self-aware. I could see what you're saying in the comparison of you and me. I could be more.
So like if you're gonna stand here and say I can be more self-aware, then you're not self-aware. If you can actually say that out loud, then
I think you could always learn and grow and learn about yourself. And,
absolutely. But if you're making
reach different heights,
absolutely. But if you're making that
self-awareness,
but when you're making that statement, I know where it's coming from.
Where is it coming from?
It's coming from a point where you know the things that are wrong with you, or the things that are causing harm to yourself and your body and your state of mind, and you choose not to improve. You choose not to be aware of it. You'll say, like, for example, you went to the doctor today to find an excuse on why you feel the way you feel, right? From the beginning of the year, episode, I think it was maybe 3 or 4 or 2, I don't remember one, maybe 5, where we made our New Year's resolutions, right? We said, this is what we want to do. I don't remember exactly what you said. I don't remember exactly what I wanted. I said, I know I've done most of the stuff that I said I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But you decided that you needed to lose weight at that time. You didn't take the necessary steps to get there. Now, I'm not bashing you because I know where we are now, and I know you've done the steps now, little steps at a time where you're getting there. But big picture wise, looking at it from the past, you knew what the problem was. Then you tried to find an excuse somewhere else to say, oh, it's arthritis. A quick fix. As opposed to, you knew very well what the problem was the whole time. So are you self-aware? Maybe you are self-aware, but you just don't care about yourself. Is that maybe that's where
I think, you know what I think it is? I think a part of being self-aware is also having a higher level of confidence and self-esteem, like when it comes to yourself, like to your personal self. And I don't always have that. So there are times in my life and aspects of my life where, as I said, I could be more aware. But when it comes to things like my mental health, I think I am self-aware.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm definitely like when it comes to things like my body image, I'm not. Since I was a younger girl, you know, I struggled with eating. I had, eating issues from a very young age, and I was aware of all the pretty girls around me and what they were doing to be fit and to look nice and good, but I wasn't aware of what I should be doing for myself at the time. And I made a lot of missteps, and I skipped a lot of steps, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I ended up dealing with things like anorexia and binging and purging. And I was looking for a quick fix, a quick, easy way out to maintain the body that, I had at the time. And I know now that's not the right thing to do. So when it comes to things like weight loss or trying to lose weight, for me, I think my self-awareness right now is coming from the fact that I realized there is no quick fix for that. Like, there is no fad diet or thing that I could do, keto or whatever it is that I could do really quickly to make myself feel better and to make myself lose 20 pounds. I get on my scale every single morning, and every pound I lose, I'm like so excited. And then every pound I gain, I'm so depressed. Like, I think that, like, I just need to be more confident in myself that I'm capable of A, losing the weight in a healthy way, and B, that I'm capable of becoming the best me that I could be. I have all the tools. And that's what self-awareness has given me. And I'm just going to go back to therapy for a second, because I was talking about therapy earlier. But being in therapy, I think, has made me the most self-aware. I have a lot of, and I've talked on the podcast about it. You guys know my story. You know what I've been through. There's a lot of garbage in my backpack that I'm carrying with me. A lot of things from the past that I'm holding on to and that I'm carrying with me like just a heavy load. And therapy has helped me to unburden some of those things. And it's helped me to be aware of who I am and who I want to be in the future. So that's what I think I appreciate about therapy the most. Like, it's who I am now and who I hope to be. So there's always opportunities for growth when it comes to self-awareness, I think. It's not just a simple, I'm self-aware and that's it, and there's nothing else, there's nothing left, I have nothing to learn, I have nothing to gain, I have nothing to lose, I know everything, I'm done.
But that's, being self-aware also includes having the ability to admit that you don't know everything.
Exactly.
So I don't know. That's, I did that a long time ago. I love that. I always enter every situation like, I don't know everything. So what am I going to learn now?
And that's a really good attitude to take. And what kind of questions do you ask yourself when you're in that condition? Like, what are you asking yourself? What are you saying to yourself when you enter into a new realm, something different, something new that you've never done before, and you want to make sure that you're aware of yourself in that new space? What kind of questions are you asking yourself?
I'm not asking myself anything. Why would I ask myself a question if I'm entering a new space? I'm asking other people things.
You're asking other people things, but you're not.
Yeah, if I'm entering a new space, somewhere I don't know about, I'm asking people things, and I'm trying to relate it to other experiences that I've had that are similar. So I don't know, what examples can I give? Okay, when I work as a consultant now, right? So every day I go into potentially a new office, a new building, somewhere new. Well, I relate that back to when I was in the catering industry, when I was freelancing as a server back then. So I was going into a different party every night, and there's different things that you have to approach things differently when you're going somewhere new. So you ought to make sure that you dress professionally every single time. So you dress like you're going on an interview every single day one, right? Like, so that you make sure your shoes are shined or whatever. I don't know. I try and equate things to previous experiences and then build from there. And then when I don't know something, I make sure I ask questions, because that's my father. My father will ask a question. It doesn't matter how stupid the question is. He will ask it. And he's not afraid to ask it in front of, even when I was a kid,
man, woman, or child.
He wouldn't be afraid to ask the silliest question, even in front of me. It didn't matter. My mother. It didn't. If he doesn't understand something, he asks a question, and that's where I get it from. So, I mean, not being afraid to ask questions. So
that's good. I think whenever I'm in a new environment, or I'm doing something new or different that is challenging for me, that challenges sometimes my beliefs or, like what I value, I think that I often ask myself, am I doing the best that I can? Am I giving it my all? Am I giving it the best that I can give? So that's the question that's always on my mind when I enter into a new situation. I want to be aware that I'm giving things the best that I can give.
I'm always on 10.
You're always on 10?
No, it doesn't matter. Any task I go all in. What's the point of half-assing a task? You're gonna have to do. My dad was always like, if you do something half-assed, you're gonna have to do it again. You have to do it twice. So what's the point?
Fair.
Yeah. Fair
point. For me, it's more of like, sometimes I'm at a 10, sometimes I'm at an 8. It really depends. It could really depend on my mood, but I just want to know for myself, again, going back to my mental health, like if my mental health recently, for instance, had caused me the challenge of having to take some time off of work. Now, when I go into my workspace, I have a job to do. I give it my 100%. I do the best that I can in any given situation. I deal with customers. I deal with my fellow associates, my bosses, and I give it my 100%. But recently, I wasn't able to do that. I had to step back and say to myself, Onika, like, where is your mind at? Where are you mentally that you're not able to function in this position? And mentally, I was not in a good place. So I had to step back. I had to use those tools, that self-awareness piece to say to myself, you know what? You need to take a break. There's no shame in saying, right now, I can't be enough for this situation, for the podcast or for work or for school or for my friends or for my family. Like, I needed to take a step back, and that's exactly what I did. Because I was very aware, and over the course of the years, especially when it comes to my mental health, I'm very aware of when I'm becoming depressed. I'm not so much aware of when I'm becoming manic. That kind of just hits me like a ton of bricks. But depression and what I go through with that piece, I'm always very aware of when it's coming, because I lose my motivation and I lose my sense of self. You know, so it can be very, very challenging for me to stay in that self-aware space when I'm feeling so low, because then I have kind of a distorted vision of who I am and what I am actually capable of. Like it becomes distorted. It becomes negative. It becomes draining, you know?
It's so interesting to hear you say this, because I find it so hard to relate and understand.
And I know you do. I know you do.
No, and like I know some people have always, like, I've had people come across and say, like, I sound insensitive sometimes on here.
Yeah, you do.
And I do. And you know, like, I mean, and yeah, because I'm insensitive. But like, no, I'm not that.
No,
insensitive.
he's not that insensitive.
I'm not like
guys.
I sound more insensitive on here than I actually am. But I find it so hard to kind of relate. Because when I hear you say, like, you know, I don't feel motivated to do this, or like I'm in this, like, I see you going into it. And like in this particular time, you called me and you're like, look, I'm not doing this. I needed a break. I need some time off.
And you were really understanding, and I appreciate you.
And I was just like, you know, like, yeah, cool, whatever. Like, this is why we were. I was like, because back in, like, you know, January, February, I was like, no, we got to let's try and record an extra 2 podcasts, 3 podcasts. And I'm like,
and this was the reason why.
And this is the reason why, so that when stuff like this happens, it's like, all right, cool. I don't have to see you for 2 weeks. I don't care. Like, kind of like,
you're like, you know, vacation for Julian.
You know, like, so like, so it was like, and so in that with the podcast hat on, I was like, yeah, cool. Like, I don't have to see you for 2 weeks. Who cares? But with the cousin hat on, I was like, okay, like, are you okay? Like, what's going on here? Like, you know, what's the deal?
Yeah.
Like, really? Because even when I was like messaging, like, even when I was going to see my parents, I'd try and call you and be like, did you eat something? Did you, like, you know? And you were still kind of like off, and you were still kind of just like ignoring me. And like, it got to the point where I was just like, I'm gonna just like
give her space.
I'm gonna give her space, live my life. I'll holler at her maybe next week or see what's going on, you know? But,
yeah, and that's what I needed. Because I lose my sense of self. Like, I completely lose it. But you know, just going through this last 2 weeks, it just kind of hit me, and I lost myself. I just couldn't function. I couldn't function in the world around me. I couldn't be around people. I wasn't even showering. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't showering. I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't doing anything. I was just.
So that's how you got rid of the bed bugs.
That's how I got rid of the bed bugs. I just laid in my bed and cried and wallowed, and sometimes another part of my self-awareness when it comes to my mental health, and when I'm in this condition, I'm in this state, because you can hear how like jubilant I am right now. Like, I'm super excited to like be on this podcast and be talking about this, but because it's over now. For the time being, it's over. But I let myself sit in it because I need to understand it. Like, there's a big part of me that I too don't understand how depression exactly works. How it just comes and hits you like a ton of bricks. One day you're fine and the next day you're not. Like, how does a 24-hour cycle just, you go from being A-okay to being not at all okay? Breaking down at work, breaking down in class, breaking down on the street to strangers. Like, how did I go from 0 to 100 like real quick? Like, how did that happen? You know, so I sometimes want to sit in it and like really feel the depression and try to become aware of, how can I stop this from happening for not 2 weeks, but for 4 months, like it used to happen back in 2010. 2010, I'm out from November to April. I'm done. I'm no good to nobody, not even myself, from the whole winter. You know, seasonal affective disorder does not mean you have to be affected the entire season, in my mind. You know, if you just continue to wallow in it, then definitely you're affected till spring comes. But for me, I just want to understand, how did I get here, and how can I get out of it? And what steps do I need to take? And that's where things like therapy helps, and talking to friends help, and talking to you helps, and, trying to find my motivation again will help. Taking that shower, eating that meal, having 8 hours of sleep a night, making sure I get my 8 hours, just trying to feel good again, and trying to be aware of who I am in that moment, and accepting myself for all the challenges that I have to face in a day when I'm in that condition.
Yeah, I really can't. I don't know. I have nothing to say there to that. I can't really relate. I can just sit back and say, yeah, okay. If that's what you need to do, at least you're self-aware enough to understand that's what you need, I guess. And if it works for you, it works for you. I mean, I guess there's the results they're here. I mean, you're sitting right here.
And I'm happy,
and you're happy,
basically.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's also noticing what's harmful to you. It's making sure you're not doing things to self-harm. Years ago, when I would be in this state, I would not generally care about myself, and I wouldn't cut or do anything crazy, but I was doing copious amounts of drugs at the time. So that was me harming myself. And now I try to make sure that I don't turn to the wrong things in order to find solace.
Okay.
I can't turn to the drugs or the sex or the shopping or any of those harmful things, like loading up my credit card with debt and all of that harmful stuff that I tend to do, especially when I'm manic, to drown out the pain. Mm-hmm. So I think it's also knowing what is harmful to you and being aware of what is going to harm you in the long run when you're doing a certain action or performing a certain task. And that can be challenging for a lot of people. A lot of people, like people who have schizophrenia, for example, they hear voices in their head, and that's harmful to them. They'll tell them to do things that can be harmful to others. So they have challenges with becoming aware that those voices in their head aren't real. They're not real people. It's not God speaking to you. It's not the devil speaking to you. It's a chemical imbalance. And if they don't have therapists or support or doctors to tell them, don't hurt yourself, don't do this, don't put yourself in a position to be harmed, mm-hmm. then, they're kind of lost. There's a lot of people that go through life, I think, without becoming, and I'm not even just talking about people with mental health issues. I'm talking about people in general that go through life without being self-aware at all.
Oh yeah. I've run into several.
You've run into several. He's like, I've run into several.
Yeah. It's always fun.
Yeah, they go through life without being self-aware at all. They just go through their day and they work and they play and they eat and they sleep but they never get to the level of self-awareness that I'm hoping one day I will get to. You know who I think is super self-aware? Cousin Kay. When I have conversations with her, some of them are weird, I'm not going to lie, but she has a certain level of understanding about herself and her situation and her life and her relationships that I could only dream to touch one day. She's an extremely intelligent woman, and though life has thrown her some challenges, she has always been honest with herself. And I think that's a key thing, being honest with yourself and not lying to yourself about what's going on in your life and what's going on with you. Mm-hmm. So honesty is really key. And I know you in particular are very, very brutally honest with yourself, and you're brutally honest with me. And I've always appreciated that.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just throwing you some compliments today.
Oh, thank you.
What is that about?
I don't know. I got you with the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. So honesty, being honest with yourself. And it's hard. That's tough.
Is it hard to be
That's-
honest with yourself?
that's tough.
It's
That
not.
is-
Hard. It's not hard to
It
be
is
honest
hard.
with yourself. It is not hard to be honest.
People lie to themselves on a daily basis. I lie to myself at least once a day sometimes. But then I come back and I tell the truth. They're like, you know what, Enrica? You know that's a lie.
Yeah.
You gotta tell
I
the
don't
truth.
know.
Tell the truth, girl.
My dad was always like, you can lie to everybody, but you can't lie to yourself.
Amen. And
So-
my mother always says, everything in the darkness comes to light.
So it's
Those
like-
old Guyanese parables.
So lying to myself. What am I gonna lie to myself for? I
you
can't.
can lie to anyone, but you can't lie to yourself. But people do the delusions, those delusions that they feed into their minds that stop them from being self-aware because they're not being honest with themselves about how much they hate their job, how much they hate their partner, how much they hate the house they live in.
How much they resent their parents.
How much they resent their parents. How much they resent their fathers.
Yeah. I don't resent my parents. I don't resent my parents. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, Papa Dainty and I'm trying to be more. I'm hoping I actually have plans to go home this weekend and for the first time see him for the first time in 2 years. I did wish him happy birthday on his birthday in September over WhatsApp, but I want to actually physically be in his presence and try to build bridges because a big part of my becoming the self-aware person that I want to be is being aware of everything that man has done for me and appreciating everything that man has done for me. I know this little, what I'm about to say is a long time coming, but what I think I've learned in the last little while, because he's getting up there in age, and I don't want him to leave this earth with anything between us unresolved. I want closure. That's really important to me, is getting that closure. And it might not look the way I want it to. It might not feel the way I want it to. Who knows what's going to happen? Just wish me luck, guys. But I need to start being aware of all the things that he has done for me. Both him and my mother have done for me. Not just my mom, him too. And I'm getting to that point. And I think that's a really important part of my self-awareness journey.
Yeah, you know how I feel about that. I mean, I got to make amends with my dad maybe 6 months to a year before he had a stroke. We really got tight again. And
that's cool.
So that's yeah, there's nothing like it, because then if something negative does happen or something bad happens, you don't feel bad about it.
And a huge part of self-awareness is understanding others too. It's not about just you. It's about understanding other people.
Understand their story. Understand why they do.
Put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah, man. I've always told you, the reason why I understand why my dad does not like going to the U.S. Right? When he was coming to Canada, it was shortly after Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and the Kennedys. They were all shot within a couple months, a couple years before he was making the decision of whether to come to Canada, go wherever he was going. Come on, that's huge. That's a huge. So he was alive during that time. That's bananas.
Yeah, and I understand that my father grew up in an abusive situation, in a very abusive household. He grew up in a very abusive household, and he wasn't able to show me the love that I want. I wanted to be up under him all the time. I wanted to be around him. I wanted him to be proud of me. I wanted him to say he loved me. But that's not how he grew up. He grew up in a very difficult situation. And you know what? I need to understand where he's come from. I need to understand his history to understand him. And that's kind of my goal with reconnecting with him, trying to understand his history and where he comes from, who he is, and why he makes the choices that he makes. It's key to me. It's very, very, very important to me.
Okay. I mean, I'm not mad at you. That sounds very important. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Do you?
And what about managing your friendships?
What do you mean?
Let's say you have a friend, and let's say JR, for the sake of argument, you have a friend, just one,
okay.
Just one friend, and your friend is the type of person that lies to themselves, right? The type of person that isn't self-aware, the type of person that thinks maybe they're the cock of the walk, or they're a big player, or they can get any girl, or they're delusional. They're basically delusional.
I don't know where you're going with this.
hold on, I'm getting there. So in that friendship, trying to understand your role in the friendship, like why you're friends with that person, like why you surround yourself with the people you surround yourself with. I think that's a piece of being self-aware. Like the choices you make in your friendships. So I could talk about some of my friendships. I've had some pretty great friendships over the years. And then I've had some pretty messed up friendships. Like my friends from, and there's a set of a group of them that I hung out with in high school. I was very aware that they were jealous of my lifestyle. But I let them degrade me and bring me down to their level because I was so desperate to be their friends. That was a time in my life that I was not self-aware. I knew that they were vindictive.
No, you were self-aware because you knew.
I knew, but I didn't say anything. I didn't put the action behind it to stop it. Like, I knew, but it's like saying someone's jealous of you, but feeling you're vain because you're saying someone's jealous of you. Oh, okay. Like, that's the kind of, like, that was the battle I was facing with this group of girls, right? Mm-hmm. I lived in a big house in Ajax. My parents sent me off to Carleton. I'd come back home. They'd be like, oh, did you learn that from your white friends in Ottawa? Like, did you learn that how to any little thing I said or anything little thing I did, they just jump on it. Be like, oh, did your white friends teach you that in Ottawa? Like, and they say it just like that, right?
Yeah, that's jealousy.
So they were haters and jealous, right? Two of them ended up having babies. Like, you know what I mean? They didn't go off to school. Only one or two of them did do school at the time. But the ones that didn't, that were like living in the ghettos of Pickering, the
ghettos. What? Shut up.
There is a ghetto in Pickering.
Stop.
It's right by that Chinese food shop that used to be Nob Hills. Everyone knows that ghetto.
Stop.
And Major Oaks too. That's a ghetto. That's one of the ghettos of Pickering.
Stop. You're in the suburbs. Stop. Let's stop.
Even the suburbs have a ghetto.
There's no Canada. There's no slums. Okay.
There's no slums.
Keep it going.
Pickering Parkway.
I don't even know. You keep naming things. You keep naming suburbs. Like, what are you talking about? Everyone up there, the ticky-tacky houses. With the Subaru and the minivan and the remote control garage door opener. Everyone's got one. Like 2.5 kids and a dog.
And a dog.
Like, get out of here.
But they didn't live up to they didn't live the way I was living. My parents provided for me. They did well by me, especially with the school piece and giving me things, everything I needed or wanted at the time. And so there was jealousy and there was envy there. And I recognized it, but I told myself, no, these are my friends. They would never, be against me or whatever. But when I got sick, when the bipolar hit, and I was honest with them about my mental health, poof, gone. Stop calling for advice, stop calling to go out, just gone. And that's when I became aware that, wait a second, these people were never my friends. They were never my friends. So I'm just saying, have you ever had a situation like that, where your friendships
I don't even remember what the question was.
I went on a total tangent. I've been going on a couple tangents today. Yeah. No, the question was, have you ever had a friendship where someone doesn't necessarily treat you well and you're aware of it, but you don't do anything about it? You have the self-awareness about it, but you don't do anything about it.
I feel like, I don't know. I don't really open up on that level with people. I see no reason to. How you would want to run to someone and share, oh my gosh, I did this and I have this feeling and I'm so hurt and blah, blah. I never felt the need to run up to somebody and share those types of feelings that I'm having with.
You kept it to yourself.
Keep it to myself. What do I need you for? Because I've always felt that at the end of the day, someone's going to betray you. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, kind of been right for the most part. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I just keep it to myself. Whatever. I don't know. I don't really. The friends that I have, we typically have things in common that we like and we relate on those levels. And
would you say they contribute to your self-awareness, though, your friendships?
Yeah, because you get to look at them and say, okay, this person is a good person, this person's a good person, this one's a good person, and I'm associating with them, so maybe I'm a good person. But then sometimes you look at people that you're associating with and you're like, okay, I'm only associating with you because we work together. And so we're hanging out after work. And but let's be real, if I met you, I don't know,
At a McDonald's.
if I met you out somewhere, if I met you at a dinner party,
You wouldn't gravitate to them.
would I gravitate towards you, or would I try and connect with you outside of that dinner party? Probably not. Right? Or would we even be at the same dinner party, you know? So I don't know, I'm finding now today, the people that I'm meeting, the friends I'm making, like, more recently, I think they're better friendships because we all, it's, people are more invested because they're doing things that they want to do, and I'm meeting people more so in areas that are more interesting to me or mean more to me. So as opposed to like high school, your friends are your friends because of where your parents decided to live, right? In university, your friends are your friends because in college, because you guys have something in common. You've chosen a program, you've chosen a school, so you develop better friendships there, right? Like when you're in the workforce, you make friends because your HR department said you guys will work well together on a team. So I don't think that's necessarily people that you're going to have outstanding friendships with. But when you meet friends like me doing improv, when I meet people doing improv, I'm bound to have a better relationship with them than I am with someone I met on the job. Why? Because improv is something that I'm passionate about and that I've made a choice to do on my own without anybody else's input. And typically people that are doing it as well have that same passion. They're doing it because they want to do it. So if you're doing things with people you're meeting people that are doing things that they want to do and don't have to do, I feel like you develop better relationships that way. So I think it just depends on where you develop the relationships that you kind of have to figure out, is this a real relationship based on convenience, or is this a relationship based off of substance? So I'm finding that, so like, because I even look at myself, like the high school friends, I don't care about any of those people. Like I married a woman that I went to high school with. We knew each other out of being locked in like rooms together for 3-4 years straight, right? Like that's how you develop a relationship with someone. But did we really, like,
were you compatible?
Were we really compatible? When you lock someone in a room long enough together, yeah, you might be compatible. You might take on traits of that other person, but are you really compatible? We don't know. That's how come, like, you see a lot of, like, I don't know, people meet in an extracurricular activity. Oh, we met playing softball. We met playing this. We met doing this. We met at an art gallery. Because you're doing something that you both enjoy. Like, you meet your friends. Like, we met playing pool. We were in a local pool, I don't know,
Tournament
league or
whatever.
tournament. Like I find when you meet people with similar interests, like that's where you find better bonds and better relationships. I don't know. I think I might have went on a tangent there, but
That's okay. I've been on a couple.
who knows? It might have made sense.
So sometimes it's about self-awareness. It's also about noticing trends. Like what trends would you say, like, just changes have you made over the last, we'll say 3 years to become a more self-aware person?
Quitting my job.
Big one.
Quitting my full-time job. Well, it's that period of time where I just decided I knew all the things that I needed to do to make myself happy. I just didn't pull the trigger. So I guess I have to thank my ex-wife for that. I guess
Thanks, ex-wife.
She's the one that forced me to pull the trigger, because it was either I was going to go against everything I stood for or pull the trigger. So, and I was backed into a corner, so I had to pull the trigger, and nothing but good has happened since.
That's good.
So I guess that would be, if in the last 3 years, yeah, that would be it. Yeah, like getting backed into a wall with her.
I think in the last 3 years, I also quit my job, but I quit the same day I got fired, so I don't know if that counts. But I would say after that period, being in the hospital for the 7th time made me, like, it was like a ice bucket of water being dumped on my head. Being at the hospital once again, finding myself there. and knowing that I had to make some serious changes in my life to get to where I am now. So, the doctors had said to me, regardless of what you do, or regardless of how healthy you eat, or how much pot you don't smoke, or what you do, you have a chemical imbalance in your brain, you are bipolar, and another episode is likely to happen, or they basically said will happen. And knowing that, it kind of changed my whole perspective on things. Like, I still want to eat healthy and do all the right things, though I don't eat healthy. I eat a lot of cheesecake, guys, like a lot of cheesecake. But even though I want to do all the right things, knowing that another episode is around the corner, maybe in another year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, it's made me appreciate all the steps I've taken so far to not going backwards and being back in that horrible, horrible space. So I think I'm trending upwards, I would hope, when it comes to self-awareness. And I think that's going to be the piece that's going to keep me from having another major manic episode. So.
Okay.
And I don't know. I think that an important piece for people to understand about self-awareness, if you don't have access to a therapist or a psychotherapist or any of that counseling, maybe get some, because bouncing off ideas with people and talking to them about your issues and your problems and having them help you find solutions is a key ingredient in self-awareness. But another thing that I wanted to just have a little quick chit chat about today is self-sabotage, because those two go hand in hand. Because when you're not self-aware, you're probably self-sabotaging.
Okay, where are you going with this?
Okay, so for me, my self-sabotaging comes from two things: my fear of failure and my fear of success. And I've always said this, and it never makes sense to people, because why would I be afraid to succeed? Right? Of course you're afraid to fail, but I failed so many times that I almost don't even fear it anymore. I fear more success than I do failure. And I think I fear success because then I'll actually have something to lose. So I self-sabotage. I might take 5 months off of writing my great Canadian novel that I want to write, or I might do some drugs and get myself into trouble. Like I have a habit, and I've always had a tendency to self-sabotage. I did it for years. I did it for an entire decade before I finally, got with the times and tried to figure out what was going on with me. I would get to a certain point where I was achieving and I was succeeding, and then I would do something to mess it all up. And normally it would be smoking a lot of weed. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, normally it would be smoking or doing drugs or doing something terrible that would end up sabotaging my whole situation. And one of the examples I can think of really clearly, because I just wrote about it in my book, I was writing about it, was when I was in my PR program at Humber. My boyfriend broke up with me. And boyfriends break up with people every day. That just happens. That's life. That's a thing. And I just lost my shit. And then I literally lost my shit. And I was kicked out of the program. This was an amazing program with amazing teachers and amazing people and amazing opportunities that could have opened up doors for me. But I decided to do all the wrong things, and I got kicked out. Granted, I did go back and finish, but at the time, I was self-sabotaging. I wasn't handing in assignments on time. I wasn't doing my group work. I wasn't participating. I was isolating. Like, I was terrified of I didn't care about failing. I'd already felt like a failure. I was terrified of succeeding. So that's just one example.
Okay. I mean, I don't really know of times where I've self-sabotaged. I don't know.
Really?
You
can't rack your brain and think about like, are you that awesome?
No, so that, like I don't really like the term. Doesn't really make sense to me. Like, why would I sabotage myself?
Sometimes you don't believe you deserve it. You don't deserve happiness. You don't deserve success.
No, everything that I deserve it all. That's
the only child syndrome right there.
If I work, well, it's because you're taught work hard for everything and you deserve it. If you work hard for something, you can get it, and not necessarily you deserve it, but if you work hard for it, you may achieve it. It's not necessarily you deserve something, but you can achieve things if you work hard. And I saw nothing but examples around me of people that worked hard and achieved success. So I don't know, like self-sabotaging. I don't know. I don't think because even like when I wanted to drop out of university and go to cooking school, I could have self-sabotaged that, but I'm like, nah, Dad, this is what I want to do with my life. I don't really care what you have to say. And then him and I had it out. And at the end of the day, I went and did what I wanted to do. So like, I don't.
And you were successful at it.
And I was successful at it. So the self-sabotaging thing, it's always been, I don't know. My parents are always like, don't sabotage yourself. I don't know what the right word there to use.
Yeah,
but I don't.
I get what you're saying. You grew up in a healthy, happy household. That's awesome. But that's awesome.
Shout outs to mama and pops.
Shout outs to moms and pops.
Yeah, man. They kept it real with me, and I kept it real with them, and I'm real now.
Kept it real. Man. But with me, I think it was just that I didn't think I deserved to be happy. And again, I think it all goes back to self-esteem too. I had very, very low, and I still have I wouldn't say it's low self-esteem. I'd say it's medium self-esteem at this point. But I had really low self-esteem growing up, like from childhood, early childhood to my 20s to into my 30s, and I think when you have low self-esteem, you feel like you don't deserve good things in your life. And you feel like you don't deserve to win, and you feel like you don't deserve to achieve, or else if you do achieve, you feel like those achievements aren't enough, and you are not enough.
I don't like the word deserve. Now that we're like throwing it around, I don't like the word because we don't deserve anything. You don't deserve anything. You're not. We're not entitled to anything. I mean, we have the right to try and achieve something. Mm-hmm. We have the right to work hard for something, but we don't deserve anything. And I think that's one of my things. I don't deserve anything. You
have to work for it.
I put myself in a position where I should be able to obtain something or achieve something, but I don't necessarily deserve it. Mm-hmm. Like last week when we talked about me saying that, I got a lot of flack for this. I don't date single mothers, right? I got a lot of flack saying, well, who do you think you are thinking single mothers don't deserve blah blah. Like I got a lot of that flack, and I'm like, I'm not saying single mothers don't deserve that. I'm saying they're just not getting it from me because I work to achieve something, and now that I've met your standard. If every woman has a standard of XYZ and I meet XYZ, then now I get to pick out of all of you which ones I want. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like where I come from there. So it's not that I deserve
mean anyways,
yes,
though. Can you pull up the definition of deserve for me?
No, you can pull it up yourself. You're an adult.
I have my phone.
Yeah, you don't deserve me to do anything for you. You're an adult. You want to deserve?
Please.
I don't. So yeah, that's another thing. Just because you said please means when I'm supposed to do it. Get out of here.
I left my phone on the table over there. I just wanted to know the actual definition of deserve. We'll put it in the description.
That's the show. This episode's gonna be called Deserve. Dishing on deserving.
Deserving. Yeah. No. What have you ever heard of imposter syndrome?
Imposter syndrome? What does that mean?
The belief of not being enough to occupy your space, the belief that you're a fraud. It happens a lot. The first time I heard the term imposter syndrome was related to Silicon Valley.
Actually, I feel that way every single time I walk into a new office to consult.
Thank you. Self-sabotage. Self-sabotaging defeatist attitude.
No. Like I'll tell you exactly how I feel. I always feel that, why are these people hiring me? I don't know. Do I really know what I'm doing here? Like, really?
That's imposter syndrome.
No. And then I walk in, and then I talk to the staff, and I'm like, oh, I know what I'm doing here. I know why they hired me.
That little moment of doubt, that's imposter syndrome.
No, that's just me. I'm not. No, I know what I can do. It's just a matter of, I sometimes think, how come other people don't know how to do this? Why is some other company paying me to do this? Mm-hmm. You should know how to do this internally. That's what I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. I'm just more on the lines of, this is for me, it's like this is everyday stuff. But then I have to look back. That comes back to my education, where we were taught in a certain way, which was very beneficial, and at a really great time. So I guess I think a little bit differently, and my approach is a little bit different. So that's kind of why maybe I have an advantage. But for a split second, I'm just like, why are these people hiring me? And then I'm like, all right, never mind. I know why.
Yeah. I was saying, the first time I heard imposter syndrome was related to Silicon Valley. Like, they were talking about how, like, people who make apps that go like big out of nowhere, they feel like they don't deserve the accolades and like all that comes, all the money and the accolades and the achievement that comes with, because they just created this app and overnight it becomes a success, right?
The challenge is because a lot of people don't really know what goes into the development of an app, and some of the apps that over the past, let's say 8 to 10 years, some of the ones that really went, quote unquote, I guess the word's viral. Some of them are so simple that when you think that you made money off of this, you're like, I should not have made money off of this. Yeah, because it's something that was so simple. But it's like that happens pretty much in every realm. Like when I was DJing, I'm like, wait, someone's gonna pay me this much money to play music that somebody else created? That's crazy. Or even now, someone's gonna pay me to play on a computer. And it's like, because when I was in school, it was like almost like doing those assignments, those labs, it was really like you felt like, oh, this is cool, this is interesting, and then you go into the real world and it's pretty much identical to those situations you were in, and you're like, oh wait, I know this is muscle memory, this is simple. So I'm just rambling on. I'm just waiting for you to say something. I'm gonna keep rambling.
Jesus, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I think an important part of imposter syndrome, or even self-sabotaging just in general, is acknowledging that it's happening. Like, if you can acknowledge that you're doing what you're doing, you could stop doing what you're doing. So if you could acknowledge that you have a fear of failure and face that fear, or face that fear of success, which is something I myself find very, very challenging. But if you can acknowledge that you're feeling this way, or your mind is going in this direction, it could stave you actually getting to the self-sabotaging stage, where you actually do an action to self-sabotage. And it could be simple as getting yourself a mentor, or someone who can talk you through, a counselor, or someone who could talk you through your self-sabotaging like ideologies and feelings. So that's an important piece to it. And also, you got to find out what's at the root of your self-sabotaging. Where does it come from? What does it feel like? What does it look like? Where does it come from? Is it something from your past? Is it something from your present? Is it a person? Is it a place? Is it a certain thing? I just described a noun, but that's okay. I just described a noun. But if it's a person, a place, or a thing, what is making you feel this way that you do not deserve? And again, I know Jared does not like the word deserve, but you're not worthy. Let's say use the word worthy of. Even worthy? You don't like worthy either?
Worthy. Hold on. Am I you're worthy of? No, because worthy is a synonym to deserve.
Is it?
It's got to be.
Listen, I asked you to look it up, but you don't want to, so never mind. Worthy's got to be a synonym
to deserve. I'm putting that down. I'm just gonna make that statement right there. Yeah, that's
worthy
the truth.
Is a synonym to deserve.
Yeah.
Making a plan helps too. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, if you feel that you're unworthy and you
got to get away from this entitlement stuff, man.
No one's entitled. Yeah,
no one's entitled to anything. You are not entitled to anything. The only thing that you may be entitled to is air.
The air you breathe, and that's it. That's all the world owes you is air.
And that's the only thing Mother Earth owes you is air. And and that we're being charged for water, so you like. I mean, that's
not free. That's not free.
So it's air. That's it.
I can't believe you've never self-sabotaged before. That's shocking to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember a time where I've self-sabotaged. I don't know. Like, I just can't think of why would I do something. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't need to sabotage myself.
I think it's probably because you have you're very confident. You have a very high level of self-esteem.
Yeah, why would I not?
Why? That's the answer to that. Why would I not?
I don't know. Like, how do you develop self-esteem? I don't know. How do you develop it? Your parents.
You got to work at it.
You work at it. I don't know. Because I put myself out there when I was younger, and I learned a lot, and put myself in situations where I probably shouldn't have, but I still learned a lot. And I don't know. I don't know. I've met a lot of people that, you know what it was? Okay,
now we're getting to the juice.
Yeah, this is when I started to realize that people ain't shit. So, no, this is real. This is so sincere.
Oh my gosh! Here we go. Just say it.
So it's like, when you're younger, and like I remember seeing everybody would say things like, "Oh, you're supposed to do this when you grow up and become this and get this job and blah blah blah," and so I started getting the jobs, and I started working in those environments, and I started meeting other people that were working in similar situations to the people that were around, that were like, that I looked up to, and they were constantly complaining about, their incomes and their jobs and all those things. And then I ended up becoming a project manager for a while, and I ended up, doing that in one place, and then I ended up going on to another places and taking on other projects. And some projects I took on, I ended up becoming privy to some information that a lot of people aren't privy to. And with that information, I started to realize that all those people that were, being negative, looking down on me, pointing down, they ain't shit. And then also, the big one was like church, because I'm not a church person. Never grew up in the church. I grew up in the church. I have no interest in it whatsoever. I'm not a church person, no. But I ended up going to the church with my ex-wife. She was a fake Christian, and so she would go to church on occasion, and I would go there, and there were people there that would kind of act a certain way, like hidey-tidy, and kind of like be negative, and kind of like, "Oh, Julian, you're one of the good ones," like, like that kind of, like those kind of people, right? And then what ends up happening is I end up living my life, my best life, and I end up going into Winners because I need a pair of sunglasses because I just dropped mine. And who's the cashier at Winners? That person that was being negative towards me in church. Oh, I am
don't knock cashiers.
No. I'm just saying. I'm working. I'm now staying at a hotel, and this person's now cleaning the room that I'm in, and you're talking shit to me. So it's like, oh wait, you're just jealous of me. And that's when I kind of realized all these people that were so negative and like like pointing fingers and being so critical, and just being, I don't know, just that kind of like, just not nice people. I found that typically not nice people have terrible shit going on in their own lives, and they're usually just making comments about you or saying things to you to make themselves feel better. And so I realized that any person that has taken the time out of their day to comment about me and my life, their life's shit, because I don't have the time in my life to comment about anybody. And I'm living, and I'm having a good time, and I'm living. I'm every time I've been in my life, every part of my life where I've been having a great time, where I've just have memories where I can tell a story and I just get in the moment. I wasn't thinking about anybody else. Nobody. I wasn't trying to criticize somebody else. Like even being a DJ, I wasn't criticizing another DJ. I wasn't. You were in your zone. I was in my zone, and I was in my lane, and I was enjoying myself. And in those times, I was not worried about anybody else. I wasn't pointing fingers. I wasn't criticizing. I wasn't condemning. I wasn't complaining. So if you have the time to criticize, condemn, complain, and all that such, then you got a problem. And I recognize that. And if you got a problem and you're talking about me, which means you're jealous of me, and hey, keep watching me, because I'm gonna keep doing me. Take pictures; they last longer.
Whatever. Like I said, big deal. Kind of a big deal, guys. I told you. I warned you.
Just because I'm confident.
He's confident, and that's the thing. I honestly do not have JR level of confidence. Like I do not have it.
But the thing is,
working on it. But
I got it from you guys. From you.
It's like it transferred.
No. I saw your fake confidence, and I was like, oh, these people aren't happy. None of these people are happy. They're faking it all the time, and I'm like, well, I don't really care to fake it, so I'm just gonna figure out a way to be it.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
But it's not fake it till you make it, because most people are just faking it their whole lives.
Their whole lives. And I don't want to be that way.
So it's
I don't want to be self-sabotaging my whole life.
Because you're spending so much time figuring out how to fake it.
When you just do it.
Just invest the time and do it.
And do it.
You know, like I could have stood back and say, you know, I'm really good at producing podcasts. I'm really good at, creating this. I'm so good at this. I'm so great at it.
But what are you doing?
What are you doing? No. So you know what? What did we do?
That's a self-sabotaging attitude. If you weren't doing something.
No, what we do, we started producing this. And if you actually listen to the audio quality, it's gotten better from the first one to now.
Amen.
Because when someone people say things to us, they're like, oh, with that episode, we kind of there were some gaps there, or it didn't sound like the quality was up.
Yeah.
What do I go back to? I go find other people that know about audio. I ask them questions. I watch YouTube videos, and we make it better. Right. So, I mean, I don't know.
I think at the end of the day, I've gotten out of a lot of the self-sabotaging, self-saboteuring that I've done over the years. I'm not a little girl anymore. I'm a grown-ass woman. And I need to do some grown-ass woman shit. So, self-sabotaging is not the soup du jour. It's not on the plate for the day. And I'm not eating it up anymore. I'm going to just keep going the way I'm going, keep writing, keep podcasting, keep doing what I'm doing till I find that success, that pie in the sky that I'm so ready to eat, even though I'm on a bit of a diet. But I'm just excited about what the future holds. And I don't want to all those people out there who are, currently self-sabotaging, get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. You are in your way. You are in the way of your success. You are in the way of your happiness. You are in the way of your achievements. Get out of your own way. Make a plan. Come up with a plan to make moves. That's what it's about. It's about making moves. Let it be in 2019. Let it be your New Year's resolution. It's about making plans and making moves to be better, to better yourself and better your future. And with that said, that has been the dish of the day. If any of you guys want to talk to us about self-awareness, let us know what you do to be self-aware on a daily basis. Or if you want some advice on self-sabotaging, how to get out of it. JR, let them know how they can reach us.
Yeah, definitely. You can reach us at Dysh, DYSH, at daintydish.com. That's DAINTYDYSH.com. Thank you for listening. We truly appreciate it. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts,
give us a 5, you deserve a 5.
If you're listening to us on any of their platform, thank you so much. SoundCloud, YouTube, you name it. Thank you so much for listening. You can further check out Onika on her website, onikadainty.com, and on Instagram, Best of Onika. You can also check Onika out on Twitter at onikadainty. And lastly, I guess you can check me out on Instagram. I'm Best of JR. And that is it for me this week. Thank you so much for listening.
JR, thanks so much for having a great conversation with me today. I enjoyed this one. I really, really did. So with that said, that has been the dish of the day. As I said, I hope y'all have yourselves a very, very, very happy hump day.